We will move on to new business. Item A is a presentation from Skagit Public Utility District's General Manager, George Sidhu, and Steve Sexton will introduce this item for us. Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Evening, Council. Yeah, this evening, as the Mayor said, we have General Manager George Sidhu from Skagit PUD here to join us for the presentation. So, George, if you want to come on up, get this going.
Okay, that's bigger. All right. Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is George Sidhu. I'm the General Manager at Skagit Public Utility District. And it's always my pleasure to come and talk to the Council about the PUD. And so that's my plan here tonight. I know most of you, but there's some that I haven't met yet. And so part of my presentation is going to be a little bit of information and education about the PUD. It's where your potable water comes from for the community. And then I'll update you on some projects that we have going on. Before I start, are there any questions? Is there anything specific you'd like me to address? Feel free to ask or raise your hand. That'd be fine. So let's see. All right, I'll try and clear the screen a little bit. At the PUD, we have a 3-person board of commissioners. Those are our current commissioners. One of them you might recognize is in the audience as a former council member, Commissioner Linquist. And they serve 6-year terms for your information. Let's see. My presentation, most of what we do at the PUD revolves around a strategic plan. We update this about every 5 years, and it helps guide us and keep us focused on our priorities. And it's been the first one we ever did was in 2018, and it was successful in helping us develop our large capital program that we have going on, which we are still currently working on. All right, so I will start with this. It's a little bit small, but this year, 2026, is our 90th anniversary. So it's not 100, it's not that huge milestone, but it is still an accomplishment. And it's something that we take pride in, to be around for 90 years to serve potable water to the community. So if you follow any of our social media, you'll probably see photos or references made to this. So just something to put out there that we're proud of this, to be around for 90 years. And so, like I said, I'll explain a little bit about how the PUD came to be. I think it's an interesting story, and if you haven't heard it before, I'll try not to make it too long. But back in 1930 is when the state of Washington, the very first initiative in the state of Washington was for creating public utility districts in the state. It was initiated by the Grangers, which are farmers. It's a kind of a representative photo there on the bottom left, and it passed. Obviously, these are the results from the election. So that created the ability for counties to create PUDs in their community. The goal of the PUDs was to conserve water and power resources of the state for the benefit of the people and to supply utility services, including water and electricity. The people that initiated started the initiative were rural. It was a rural community, right? Farmers. And so they wanted to preserve the public nature of the utilities rather than having them privatized. So great first initiative for the state. It took about 6 years before the ballot measure came to Skagit County. And on November 3rd, 1936, Skagit PUD was formed. And there's the results of the election, and the first 3 Skagit PUD commissioners were Grangers. You might recognize some of the names. Let's see. So that was in 1936. I'm not going to go year by year, don't worry. But they quickly got to work, and they quickly started acquiring water systems. So by the 1940s, World War II was going on. There's a lot of growth in the county, in the community, as far as needing water. And so Skagit PUD, formed in 36, purchased 3 small private water systems in each of the 3 cities. And that's how it got its start. Started with about 3,000 customers. I think the purchase of that or that one purchase of the 3 systems was about $425,000. So not huge, but a significant amount back in the day. They then went to purchase additional systems in Clear Lake, including water rights in the Cultus Mountains. And then in 47, which I'll get into a little bit here, was one of the biggest decisions ever made, which is to acquire property up in the Cultus Mountains to build the reservoir, which we call Judy Reservoir. Talk about that in a second. So the PUD just grew from there, right? Like it added more infrastructure, added pipelines, added reservoirs. It just grew and grew over time. And so where we are today, it's a little small. We currently have 7 water systems in the county. So these are the boundaries of the 7. The large blue one is the one here in the lower valley, the Judy system. But we own smaller systems throughout the county. We have 7 in total. There's a small system in Alger, 2 in Concrete, Skagit View Village, and Cedar Grove, 1 in Rockport, 1 in Marble Mount. And then over to the left, it's called our Potlatch system. It's on Guimas Island. It's a reverse osmosis water system that treats seawater for drinking water purposes. And we just actually finished replacement of that system last week. So now it'll be good for another 30 to 40 years. So we've expanded our system quite a bit to where we are today. And I mentioned this earlier. So the Judy Reservoir system is our largest system, serves here in the lower valley. Those are photos of them. It's named after our first general manager, Lawrence Judy. The source of our water comes from 4 streams in the Skagit River. So 4 streams flow out of the Cultus Mountains, but we also use water from the Skagit River. We've got a fairly large water right, which allows us to fill that reservoir. That reservoir is raw water. So that's what we fill to then treat to deliver it to our customers. It holds about almost 1.5 billion gallons. So that provides the entire community with the redundancy and resiliency of having that water in case we can't get more through a drought. If there happens to be contamination in the river or one of our other sources, that reservoir can hold over 5 months of raw water to be able to treat and deliver to the community, even if we can't refill it and replenish it. So it's great for the community. And then, as I said, right on the shores of Judy Reservoir is our water treatment plant. It can treat about 24 million gallons per day, which is well above what we typically use. Our average day is about 8 million gallons, and peak day in the summer is typically about 15. That changes, obviously, depending on the weather. And I'll stop here just for a second. I know that you guys did a tour of your wastewater plant. And so what we normally do is every year we kind of put out an invitation for newly elected officials to come and tour Judy Reservoir and the water treatment plant and other sites that we have as well. I think some of you have been on the tours, but we'll probably open that up again this fall, probably late summer. And so we'll let you know. And if any of you are interested in coming up to the reservoir and the treatment plant, we'd be happy to have you and show you around. So just to sum all of that up, where we are currently, like I said, we own and operate 7 water systems serving 116,000 people. So other than the city of Anacortes, which has their own water system, we serve most of the residents in Skagit County. It's 27,000 water services and over 600 miles of pipe. We do everything from obviously collecting the water, treating it, distributing it, metering it, sampling, testing, all of those kinds of things. So we've got a great group of people, and they all love what they do, and they do a really good job at it. And it shows in there was a local, it's AWWA is our national organization, American Water Works Association, but there's a local chapter, Pacific Northwest section, and we hold competitions. Actually, water utilities compete against each other for best tasting water, things like that. So you may have seen the post recently. We won that here locally, competing with some of the other local water utilities. We often win that. Our water is very good, right? If you travel, you know that. It's always good to come back to Skagit and taste our water. But we just recently won that competition, and we'll move on to the statewide competition in May. So I'll stop there in the history lesson. There's no more history. But in case there's any questions about anything I said, or if there's any clarification.
Any questions for George?
What, and this is sort of off topic, but, what are the plans for the old PUD building? Are there any plans for that
That's a good,
facility?
timely question. Yes, we moved into our new admin building just about a year ago. So in that building that's still on Freeway Drive, our operations department still occupies the southern half roughly. And the northern half, you will probably see a sign go out on our lawn this week or next week. We're going to have that up for lease. So we're going to make some repairs that we need to do for the roof and the HVAC system. We want to preserve the building for potential future growth or needs that we may not anticipate just yet. We originally had a plan to piece that out and sell it. That didn't come through. So we kind of took a step back and decided what was best for the organization. And so we're going to keep the building as a whole, not sell off any part of it, but we'll lease it to somebody that may be interested in using that space. It's about 13,000 square feet. It's got a large conference room and a lot of good office space as well. So if you know anybody, have them call me. That answer your question? Okay. All right, I'll move on and update the council on just a few things that we have going on. Water rights. I talked about how many water rights that the PUD has. There are other people in the community that have water rights as well. Irrigators are very important to our community. Obviously, they need a lot of water. The PUD's water rights are considered senior in that when the Skagit River drops below the in-stream flow rule, there's a flow rule set by the state, we are not curtailed completely. We still have use of our water. A lot of irrigators in Skagit County have junior water rights, and so they are affected by the in-stream flow rule. So when the river drops, they are not allowed to pump water. We can still pump it because we're providing it to our customers. Irrigators are curtailed because of the in-stream flow rule. They need their water when it's the driest, and usually when the river drops, that's when they need it. So we have been, for the past 10 years, temporarily transferring some of our water rights to the irrigators. We've done that during drought situations, 2015, 19, 21, and 23. They were actually state declared droughts, and we transferred some water rights to allow them to irrigate. It's a safety net for them, right? It allows them to irrigate when they normally couldn't. The last 3 years, we've done a pilot program where we've done it even when there wasn't a drought declared. We just did it seasonally for a small group. It was a pilot program. This is the last year of that. And these are, most of them, well, you can see the colors. It's for a couple of drainage and irrigation districts down for Island, and there's one private farmer in Sidhu Woolley as well. So it allowed those users to have use from May to October when the river flows are low, and it provides them with security of water. We are now looking at trying to develop this program further. This was a pilot program for these 3 years with this group, and we're trying to now set some policy about, deciding whether there's any other interest in it and how do we make this, it's a resource. It's the PUD's resource as the water rights. That means it's the community's resource. So how can we use it best? And so we're exploring how to use these temporary water rights. And I'm sure we'll be in for a lot of discussions for the next couple of months regarding these, but it's really valuable to the community, and I think it's important to share. And then I'll end with some projects that we have going on. So this is just there's a lot of things on this map. The blue are water lines. The red is just a pressure zone boundary, but that's Judy Reservoir in the middle. So this is up in the Cultus Mountains around our Judy Reservoir. There's a small dot, kind of lower middle, south of the reservoir. We're building a new storage tank up just on some of our property near Judy Reservoir. It's going to be about a 1.6 million gallon tank to provide fire protection and water for the treatment plant and for the customers that live around the reservoir. Most of these customers, I don't know if anybody here lives up there, if you know anybody that does, their potable water is all pumped because there's no gravity flow in this area. So we're trying to build a reservoir at a higher elevation to provide gravity flow. Power interruptions are really bad if you need your water pumped. And so providing a gravity reservoir is going to be good for that area. So we're finishing up design, and we hope maybe this time next year, to be starting construction. Also, a couple of projects at the water treatment plant. So you can see how important the water treatment plant and Judy Reservoir is to the PUD. We are replacing or upgrading our disinfection system. So we currently use chlorine gas as part of our disinfection process, and we store 1-ton chlorine gas cylinders up at our treatment plant. That's a photo of them. Chlorine gas is not a good thing if it leaks or gets out of its container. So what we are doing is replacing a lot of the gas requirement that we have with liquid sodium hypochlorite, which is just bleach. We can use that in our treatment process instead of chlorine gas. So we still will use some gas. It'll be much smaller. It'll be 150-pound cylinders versus 1-ton cylinders. So that'll keep our operators safe. It'll keep the people that live around the treatment plant safe. It'll keep really a lot of the community safe, because chlorine gas, if it gets out, it's heavy and it seeks a lower point, so it'll just flow down the hillside, which is not good. So this is something that we're planning on upgrading, hopefully start construction on that this year.
Georgia, will we notice a change in taste?
You will not. No, when we went through the design process, we looked at a lot of different options on what to do, with the ultimate goal of not changing the taste of our water, the quality of the water. And so we looked at a lot of different solutions, and we sampled a lot of them and tested it to make sure that the parameters were all the same. And this, we could have gone to something else, but this kept it where it is right now. Good question. And then lastly, the treatment plant was built in 1990, and that's when we had this generator up there, and it's still there. And we need some additional capacity and just a bit of an upgrade. So we are replacing the generator at the treatment plant. Very important. There are a lot of power outages up in that area. And, we rely on our generator quite a bit. And the one that we have is small, so it limits what we're allowed to, or what we can upgrade the plant with. So that's going to be a really important project for us. And there's my contact information, which I can provide, or the mayor has it, Steve has it as well, if you need to get a hold of me, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as well.
Questions for George? Yeah, Councilmember Vanderstoep.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Yes.
Great to see you again. Do you have projects planned in Mount Vernon that will impact roads?
We are in the middle or towards the end of a design of a pipeline project up in the Hillcrest neighborhood, and we're talking to your staff about some permit conditions and some timing of that, but nothing definite as of yet.
No. When you decide, when it goes through, how would somebody find out when that's going to happen?
We've already had one community meeting with the neighborhood up in Hillcrest, and so I've talked to the mayor about this. Communication is going to be our biggest tool to try and get directly to the people that are affected, and so that's the way we're going to try and do it. Yeah.
And we'll help push out too.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I live in the neighborhood. That's why I'm asking. Appreciate it.
Yes. Any updates we get, we'll share directly with the people that are affected.
Councilmember West.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Sidhu, thank you for the partnership. As we plan our long-term street and sewer upgrades, how do we align with you in terms of reducing legacy pipes that have lead or asbestos, right? Ideally, we do this in lockstep. Are there plans to align with you in terms of reducing the lead and asbestos pipes?
So yeah, I see two parts to that question. So I'll answer one part first. So we did, and every water utility in the state was required to do a lead survey to find out if there's lead in your system. And we did that last year. I can't remember the timing on it, but we had to finish it last year. So we did that in our Judy system. And we did not find any actual lead services. There were some services. So most of the lead, if you're going to get them, they won't be in the pipe itself. It'll be in the service to the home. And so there are some that we identified that we don't know the material. There's a lot that we do. We know which ones don't have lead, and there's some that we're just not sure of. And so it's not a large amount, and we've contacted the people that we know may have that. But again, those are the service lines that come off, and they don't impact the right of way or the street or that as much as you would think. I guess they would go through the people's lawns and maybe some sidewalks, but there's no plans right now to do any work on service lines on our side. You know, there's a long history. I could talk a lot about the lead issue. You know, we just didn't have that. The lead in the country that ended up in the water systems mostly started on the East Coast because they were the older water systems and they used them a lot. By the time we got here, it wasn't, and we're not Seattle. Seattle's older. We didn't have a lot even to begin with, and the ones that we know of, we removed them. And so there's not really a lot to worry about there, and our survey proved that based on statistical analysis. Asbestos pipe is something we have in our system. It doesn't impact the water quality. It doesn't impact what goes into the water. Asbestos is bad when it's dug up and it's friable and it's busted into pieces, which it doesn't happen with a water system. We do get leaks on asbestos pipes, and so there's a certain diameter and condition of them that we do have a kind of a program where we've gone through and replaced a lot of it. But there's some asbestos cement pipe that is great. It's hardy, it lasts, and there's no degradation, and there's no necessary plan to get rid of it just because it's asbestos cement pipe. There's no water quality concerns with it. And there's a second part, which you didn't ask specifically, but we do a lot of coordination with all the cities and with the county as well. So I think there's quarterly coordination meetings to make sure. It doesn't always work, but we try to align projects so that if we go into a right of way or go into a neighborhood, we're only damaging the infrastructure once. If we're going to tear up a road, it's best to do it just once. So we try and align with, like I said, cities, counties, PSE, Cascade, anybody that's interested in digging a trench or creating a disturbance, we try and partner with them as much as we can.
Other questions? George, thank you for that coordination. Thanks for the presentation, the information tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, Commissioner Lindquist as well.
If I could,
Oh, yeah.
I thank you, George, for coming. I always enjoy hearing about what's going on at the PUD. But I also enjoy that it gives me an opportunity. Joe has a little bit of council history with us. How many terms did you serve, Joe? 3, 4? At the time he was elected, I believe you hold the record for the youngest person elected to city council in Mount Vernon. And, at the time. Yes, and still in public service. So thank you. Thanks, George.
Okay, thank you.